Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another production of the Cross-Platform Baseball League. My name is Dwayne. I'm one of the co-commissioners of this league, and we're going to be taking you through another weekly roundup. And joining me for it is Oxbox once again, one of our AAA veterans and fellow members in the booth. How you doing tonight, Ox? Welcome to another roundup.
Dwayne, I'm good, man. I'm rocking the playoff stash. We're ready to go as the AAA playoffs open up this week. I'm excited, man.
Yeah, dude, that playoff stash is looking crisp right now, and yeah, it's ready to go. I hope it brings you and everybody in the AAA a bunch of playoff luck, as, like you just said, it's time for the AAA playoffs. All the games are played. Everybody got their games in, all 28, and now the bracket's set. And one series is underway, and the rest are still up for grabs, so we're going to have a lot of predicting going on here tonight. Some fun extra predictions from Ox down the line that you guys are going to get all excited over and things like that. And we'll also have the XBL bracket as it stands right now and the rankings for that, our plays of the week, and our stat storylines, and whatever else comes along with that. So without further ado, let's hop right to it. We're going to start out by just going over the rankings, or the standings from AAA. Make sure
we got our end of the season AAA standings. So this is how everybody finished up as we head into round one.
Yeah, and as you
And
can see right there at the top, it's pretty obvious that Seaman and his undefeated record just standing at the top of the mountain. It's never been done in the XBL, AAA, or the XBL itself before. So at 28-0, big congratulations to him first and foremost for getting it done. 2 big wins on Match of the Week, and then a huge win everybody was watching against Tezzy the other night to lock it down. That was epic.
yeah, absolutely. And hats off to you, C-Man. Hell of a season you had. And congratulations. And more to come on that, as Wishbone has some great stats on as far as, undefeated seasons go, and him being a pioneer in that regard. But also, got to tip your cap to the caboose of the league, the Black Roses, Snowbird. As we talked about, Dwayne, the big reset button. Black Roses winning 1 game all season. She already came out and won a playoff game today. You love to see that.
Yeah, that's the only playoff game that's been played in the AAA so far as well. So more to be had from the Black Roses and the rest of the AAA to see if there's more upsets, more excitement across the bracket that we're going to be looking into later. But as your first look right here at AAA and its standings, you see a lot of movement in the top half. Some players solidifying top half finishes for the first time. I believe Tezzy and Eduardo among those players. The Blue Panther as well. What made it all the way to the quarters, I believe, in his rookie season, but this season now in the top 4. There's and M. Bennings coming out after his rookie season and the sophomore season, now solidifying that 2nd seed. Also a great rookie class in the AAA. Just a lot of really nice improvements from players among the standings, and even our players from the AA able to get their fair share of wins. A lot of them against each other in those tight series, and now they're, like you said, looking at that playoff reset button. So we're going to get right into the bracket as well here. Just give me 1 second to pull that up.
Yeah, and I know we're taking a look there a second ago at the XBL standings, and I've got some keys to point out for those XBL standings and updates as we move along here in a minute. But for now, let's take a look at this AAA bracket. As all the seeds are locked now, Dwayne, as you mentioned earlier, this is how, the final bracket's shaped up to look. This is it. And I can't wait to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I can't either. We have games scheduled this evening, I believe, between Milkmen and Hikers getting underway shortly, if not already underway. Other playoff series are scheduled for Saturday to get started. The Black Roses and the Hudson Softies, as we already stated, have gotten started, and there's upset potential there with the Roses out to a 1-game lead. So it's really, really exciting to see all the tight early round matchups that are going to be occurring between seeds like SWAT and Mist, you and the Pirates, Nazgul 9 versus the Pirates, Ox versus Rise and Fall, and then the winner plays Tezzy. All these waiting teams as well in the bye rounds. Very, very interesting how that's all stacked up. I really feel like even though Seaman went undefeated, the AAA's going to be up for grabs, and I think we're about to get into a little bit more of that. Wouldn't you say, Ox, with these predictions that you've so kindly given us?
Yeah, Dwayne, as I mentioned last week, one of my hot takes was I think Seaman goes undefeated for the regular season, but I don't think he pulls it off for the playoffs. I think somebody gets him. And as you can see here, my final prediction, we saw Tezzy take him to extra innings the other night. I think if we saw Seaman versus Tezzy World Series, the heavy hitters could pull it off.
That's definitely, a possibility. We did see some close games the other night, like you just said. If Tezzy and Seaman make it all the way to the World Series and the heavy hitters come out on top, you are going to be truly a guru. Along this whole bracket, you can see a lot of interesting upsets that Ox has picked here. The Black Roses to beat the Hudson Softies, that's already, like we just said, a possibility. He's got the Sirloins coming through there as the higher seeded team, and then the Dog Pound going through to face those heavy hitters who are going to upset all the way through pretty much after they face off against the Toe Beans and beat the Pirates. Ox not even picking himself to win, so not too kind to his own Nazgul 9. But yeah, some hot takes here for sure from Ox. I wonder how it's all going to play out. I mean, my prediction's not quite the same. I have a bracket to show you, but if I were to say so, I think Seaman's probably going to come out on top. But if anyone's going to do it, it might be the Dog Pound. I'm just curious to ask Ox, how many games do you think Seaman and Tezzy go in the finals?
Oh, had to be at least 6 or 7. I mean, you're not going to beat, you're not going to beat C-Man in 4 flat or 5, but um, I'd just say 7 just by default, just to give us some extra great games.
Yeah, it's
What
interesting.
about
I mean, yeah, I would have to say if it's going to happen at all, it's going to be 6 or 7 games like we saw the other night. As he took him to extra innings, so he figured out a plan to pitch against him, and it's all a matter of how long that's going to last. And if and when we implement a ego raise for the AAA, we have been talking about that. The official news is going to come out for that in a couple days here, because that is all going to happen from the semifinals onward, as it usually does. But once we have that final decision for you guys, it looks like we should be probably raising for the semis in the AAA like we did not do last season. So you kind of heard that here first, but no official announcement as of tonight just yet. And if those two are playing on a higher ego, it could bring things even closer. And I think that'll do it up here for Ox's predictions. So we're going to head over to the XBL bracket. Or not XBL bracket. First, we're going to do the rankings, and then we are going to talk a little bit about how the bracket is shaping up. And to start things off, we actually have a omission from our rankings once again. Now Cardiac's at his lonesome as the 16th team down here in this 3-person spot. We had Jackin removed this week due to lack of play. So the playoff picture shaping up a little differently for those teams fighting for number 12. It kind of feels wide open now that Jackin's not kind of there plugging the hole.
Absolutely, Dwayne. And, it's been a rough season for Cardiac so far, even though we saw him play Luke very tight and that tough strength to schedule. But that was one of the big things I wanted to mention this week coming into Roundup was with the loss of 2 potential playoff teams this season. You hate to see that, but it makes that fight for the 12 spot completely wide open now, as, we see some teams that might have been out of the hunt get right back in it. And I really want to give a shout out this week to the Yale men. Finite's on a roll, and he's got a real shot at sneaking in there.
Yeah, on a roll indeed. He's pushed himself up to 5-17. You can see him here at rank number 15 voted this week, but it's going to be interesting to see how he plays the rest of his schedule. A lot of the teams around him in the playoff race fighting for number 12 are the teams that he has to play, and then he's also got Flash, who's trying to climb the ladder on his schedule as well. So he has a chance to win a lot of big games, and that could be what pushes him forward towards number 12. I feel like the magic number is going to be, 10, maybe even 9 wins. Wishbone's still in the hunt here. He's only got 2 games to play, though, so it's not super favorable to him. And then a big series between the Colts and No Name coming up. You see both those players, Wishbone and J Boops, and his Colts right here at 13 and 14. Everyone right here with big games to play this week. It's less about rankings right now for these players and more about just getting it done with the games you have left to play. I think you'd have to agree, right, Ox?
Absolutely. And like I said last week, you just want to pay attention to that number on the left in the win column is the only thing that matters. And like you said, that 9, I think 9's the magic number to get to, maybe 10. But even 8, like right now, Wishbone not out of the hunt. If he could find a way to sleep Zlatanimal, which I think they're playing Friday, I read earlier, that'd put him at 8-22, and he would have a shot. You never know how these final games are going to wind up, but I like Finite's chances with 6 games left to play. We'll see how he ends up doing, but that 12 spot absolutely wide open right now. And as we've seen in seasons past, that a lot of times that spot can come down to the final games of the season and be a de facto playoff game in itself as guys wind up their season. So I would love to see some theatrics as we, round out these last playoff spots.
Yeah, theatrics indeed, as Chat so kindly has pointed out. We also have the rule in place that if 12 and 13 finish on the same record, no matter what the head-to-head run differential was throughout the season, 12 and 13 would have a 1-game playoff for that seed. So there's a decent chance we could have that happening. I don't know who's out here calculating playoff predictions just yet, but the chances are high, and I think a couple teams might be looking to that even as a backdoor to get in here as the week wears on. We only have a few more days left to get these week 7 games in here in the XBL.
Dwayne, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm pretty sure I know we get excited about the possibility of a possible tiebreaker play-in for the playoffs for that 12 spot, but I don't think we've actually had that happen yet. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong there, but I would love to actually see that happen. It would provide even more, theatrics and late season drama.
Yeah, we have never had one as it stands right now in the XBL and in the play-in era. No one-game playoffs have ever been played, so that would be really, really, really cool to see. My fingers are kind of crossed that it does happen. If it does, it'll be high intensity. I'm sure we'll broadcast it here on this channel. We've had games that are just as close. I remember Finite and Doso being a huge game a couple seasons ago. Winner gets in, and a few other games like that. That
a
Flash
30
has
fielding
scheduled
Firebird.
a 30 fielding Firebird, as many will recall, making that diving catch in left center field at El Viejo. But yeah, it's the matchups have always been picked ahead of time by Flash, but usually towards the end of the season, the two players in that final week are in the hunt, and those games have been big as well. But no one-game playoff ever before, and this season there's a huge chance as we look now at 10, 11, and 12. These are all the players that could be involved in it. B. Hagen at rank number 10, dipping from number 9 just a little bit. He went 2 and 4 this week, getting his games in, but at a strong 11 and 15. It looks like he's going to be in the playoff hunt and kind of away from that one-game playoff potential. But teams like the Harambeanos and teams like the Base Bandits especially could be looking at facing off with another team in that playoff or looking to that playoff itself as their way in.
B. Hagen with a bit of a head scratcher of a week. You can never count the Megafauna out as he's taken some games off some big dogs as he's able to split the Navigators, who've only had 2 losses coming into it the entire season. So a huge win for B. Hagen, even though he drops in the rankings. He took a game off the top dog, and Harambeanos has been a bit quiet lately, but he's about to pick back up with some action actually right now. And a lot of games here coming up as he wraps up his season. And No Name, Boops, I've got a question for you guys. Where'd you guys go? I was looking at you guys like a playoff team all the way up until these last couple weeks, and you're pulling a vanishing act, boys. I want to see you get back in the hunt, so step it up.
Yeah, it's a big call out here from Ox on Weekly Roundup for those two to get back in the game, and they have a huge series against each other right now. That might be in the works to be pushed to prime time once we get the confirmation from those players. Like I said before, a little bit of preview news for you before it gets officially announced here on Weekly Roundup. But J Boops and No Name gonna have a huge set of games coming up this week. Both of them really aiming to get back into that playoff race. Maybe Ox's call to them will be a bit more motivating.
It was a wake-up call and possible flex action into the match of the week, like you mentioned. That would be cool to see.
We'll move on now to rank 7, 8, and 9. Flash making a push here at now 12 and 8, definitely improving on what he worked on last season, coming back after a hiatus. Now on his back-to-back season here in season 11. He's got 12 wins and a bunch of games to play. It looks like, I think he's at 20 games, so 10 games to play here in this final week. He's looking to finish above 500 and really put himself in the conversation to maybe push for the 5 or 6 seed. Ted finishing the season at 500 here at rank number 8, kind of right in the middle. Pretty appropriate for the season he's had, but finishing strong with a sweep against the Megafauna. And then Webb himself coming up higher in the rankings. He's had some strong wins in the past couple weeks. He beat me in a split and then swept Cardiac pretty emphatically. Played Luke pretty strong as well. So going into the playoffs, Webb's looking kind of hot.
Yeah, you love to see Webb making his. I'm not going to say a lock, but he's looking very strong to be making his first career postseason appearance here in the XBL. So good luck to the Melonheads as the King of the North looks to make some noise. And Dragoons, like you said, mentioned, they finished now at 500, so a bit of a dip from his season a season ago. I feel you there, Ted. I had the same type of thing, but hey, you're still in the playoffs, and that's the big reset button. So, he hasn't won a playoff series since he beat Chris a long time ago. I know he's looking to get that monkey off his back and really, whoever he ends up matching up with, I think Dragoons make a run this postseason. And Flash, you really got to give some credit. He's having a lot better season. and he's holding his own against all the top players, I think. So he's definitely building some momentum into the playoffs as well.
Yeah, for sure. I was just kind of peeking right across the board here at these numbers, and you see the Dragoons finishing with 21 home runs, obviously playing at Shaka, so not as many homers as the teams around them. Flash already at 29 homers, whereas Webb's at 34 through 6 more games than Flash. So the offense trending upward for the Flashertons. Webb and his Melonheads obviously having a pretty career offensive season, batting over 300, looking to get better with games to play. So these guys right here in the hunt in the middle could be making more noise through the rest of their regular season games.
Yeah, and more to come, as Wishbone pointed out on the home runs. Everybody's home run numbers looking good this season.
Yeah, we'll get into a little bit of that in a few minutes, but for sure the home run numbers are trending upward in this league, and players are just maybe getting used to the ego, maybe just hitting better, after time and coming up with some good strategy. We look at ranks 4, 5, and 6 here. This is a spot where there's actually been no change. The Mallards had a strong week. Look at all those games here in week 6 for Luke and the Mallards, and GTM as well, packing them in. Both these players getting their W's and really solidifying their playoff position, pushing myself further down in the standings, about where you would expect a team that's 17 and 13 to be in the XBL with the talent that you have towards the top end, I would have to think.
Yeah, Luke really shot himself in the foot by choking against Flash twice this week, because he had a hell of a week otherwise. As you can see, sweeping both Corruptions and Ashnod is an absolute incredible feat to manage, sweeping both those players. But a bit of a head scratcher is you got to tip your hat to Flash for that big sweep. I definitely think you and GTM are right there neck and neck. I wouldn't, put one guy above the other, as you guys were playoff nemesis last season as well. So it'll be interesting to see, how that his final record shapes up. But the Mallards made a strong case to possibly be that 2 seed going into the last week of the season, Dwayne. We'll see how, the seeding shapes up. But Luke, after starting off getting swept by the Pine Sox, he certainly turned his season around.
Yes, indeed he has. He's got, that big 22-6 record, and I think we're all waiting for the series of the week that's going to be coming up between. It's not going to be on Match of the Week, I don't think, but Corruptions and Ashnod is going to be huge for Luke and pretty much everybody in the standings for movement and locking in seeding. That's a huge series, and it'll be really telling, like you just said, if Luke and the Mallards can achieve that 2 seed and try and get back to the World Series after that runner-up last season. Look at the top of the rankings here. A movement that's pretty interesting. We see Ashnod, maybe just due to lack of games and lack of strength of schedule, getting swept by Luke and falling to rank number 3, and swapping places with the Rhode Island Anchors, who was also swept by Luke, but got the win against the Base Bandits. I mean, the voting here a bit curious, perhaps, how these two shook out. But either way, I think it's wide open in the top 4 for who's going to finish underneath Weaver, who's now locked in to first place. Congratulations to him for rank number 1 from I think weeks 2 to 7 now, and just locking in the first seed in an emphatic season. Huge improvement. Just way to go. Congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you there, Dwayne. Just absolutely incredible season by Weaver, and congratulations to you for pretty much going wire to wire from first place, start to finish here, as he really backed up his hot start with a strong finish. He did split with the Megafauna to end his season a bit on a low note that he didn't want, obviously to end on a loss. But just an incredible season by him to go 27-3, and really he went 31-3, I believe. I'm not sure if he played both Jackin and Con, but just hats off to Weaver. And for the love of God, I hope one of these two players, Ashnod or Corruptions, will stream their set against one another, because I can't wait for that matchup.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely huge, as I alluded to earlier. Both those players in the mix for the top 4, with the way, like we already said, Luke's been playing, and the way GTM's playing as well. Things could shake out where, with the amount of games in hand, either of these teams' position in the top 4 is threatened. So those games important, and all the rest of the games in the XBL important to get in here as the week wears on and we try to finish up this regular season and get into the playoff tournament.
And yeah, Dwayne, think about how untouchable it seemed like Astronaut's been the last couple of seasons, especially since the departure of the goated one Lazy. But he's been swept twice now this season, and everybody, at least one guy below 500, seems to take a game off of him. So perhaps a bit of a dent in the armor as this season's postseason, the XBL, truly up for grabs. I think you could make a case that anybody could beat anybody in a series as we as things shape up here. And like you said, who knows how the seeding's going to turn out. We could be looking at one of these guys in the 2, 3, 4 spot right now, bouncing out of that top 4 buy range.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we were just talking about a second ago. And what's eye-popping to me is Ashnod trending downward in a way that it seems, but still putting up an 11.8 runs scored per 9. So we'll see if the numbers shake out for him as well. He's looking to be leading the league in home runs once again. Weaver right now at 77, as you can see there, but Ashnod 11 behind, and with plenty of games to play, he's at 22, so 8 games to play. We'll see how many he's able to hit, but it's a far cry from the amount he's hit in seasons past, and like you said, he's going to have to get it done in the playoffs, something he hasn't done before.
Absolutely. And we've got some incredible content this week, as we always do, from Wishbone coming up, and I'll let you take us in, Dwayne.
Yeah, we'll head right into our Spreadsheet Wizards stats of the week after going over our XBL rankings a little bit here. We have C-Man undefeated. We started with that in our look at the standings, but exactly 99 players have played through the XBL's 3 leagues after taking a closer look, and exactly one now has gone undefeated. Although ultimate glory is yet to be earned in the postseason for C-Man, congratulations to him on a triumphant rookie season. And just another note to that, C-Man was in line at one point to challenge every single offensive record in the AAA this season, but he did fall short, even though the season was shorter. And in the case of home runs, he came just 5 short of Pizza Volcano's 96 with a total of 91. So great offensive season from him, but not quite the record-breaking feat in the numbers, just in the win column.
Yeah, you could definitely make a case that if he would have had the same amount of games as Pizza Volcano or Jam or someone, that he could have broken all those records that he was on pace to break. But regardless, I mean, 28-0 speaks for itself. He had a ridiculous season and averaged, over 10 runs a game, I think, the entire year. So just congratulations to him, as we mentioned, and over like Wishbone said, 100 players, 99 players have played in this league over, the course of its lifespan, and he's the first one to ever go undefeated. So truly an amazing feat, even though he came up short on the records. That's not really what's important. But also, regular season's not what's important. He's got a lot of pressure as we head into the bracket with a big reset button to finish this undefeated season off. He's got a lot more games to go to finish this off.
Yes, indeed, he does. It's going to be all about how he moves through those playoff tournaments. Sweeping your way through is going to be something that I think hasn't been done since Jam Paladin, if I don't stand corrected. So if he's able to do that, that would truly put him at the top of AAA, but still yet to be seen. The playoffs where anything can happen. Everybody tries to play, a step above, and if the ego gets raised, that'll play into it too.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I mentioned earlier, Dwayne, home runs are up across the board this season. You wouldn't really notice it by looking at just the league leaders, but in the XBL, home runs per 9 in season 10 was 1.09. This season, it's up to 1.27 per 9. As Wishbone says, that is an 18% increase, which is certainly eye-opening. Ashnot's Coupon, who we mentioned earlier, on track to finish the league, leading the league with 91 home runs, which would be 49 short of his record-breaking season a few seasons ago. The rest of the league is more than making up for the gap, though. Of the 13 players returning to the XBL from season 10, 10 of those 13 have increased their home run rate this season. So a great job of the rest of the league, doing doing their part to increase their power numbers while also curtailing, the top guys on the mound.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting look into the stats there from Wishbone. Everybody seems to be settling in now at 90 ego in Super Mega Baseball 3, now in the XBL, our 4th season on that ego. So everybody hitting just as a whole on a better trend. It's neat to see the power up, especially since in the past 2 seasons we've taken away the ability to have 5-bar power with your team. So teams doing it with 4 bars or less and hitting more home runs across the board. And also very interesting to note, like you already said, Ashnod on track to lead the league as usual, but way lower than it's been in the past. So the pitching seems to have tightened up in certain areas, whereas everybody else on the offensive end though seems to be getting it done, being a bit more selective. That is a very, very cool stat. Thank you, Wishbone, for bringing that to our attention, and that kind of segues us into our next one. It's strike 3, take a hike. As you know, our hikers took the AA title in season 10, and this season Diesel and his hikers have finished their debut season in the AAA with a respectable 514-14 record. Although Diesel is ranked in the middle for most pitching categories, finishing 9th in WHIP and opponent's batting average, also 9th and 7th in runs allowed per 9, he did manage to finish the season in first place with strikeouts, striking out 151 opponents, improving his strikeouts per 9 from moving up to the AA to the AAA from 4.7 to 5.6 per 9. So interesting move from him, taking a step up in pitching ego and able to get it done with some craft.
Yeah, incredible job by D-Sil. And somewhere in there's a gas joke, Dwayne, about, throwing gas, D-Sil. But he had an absolutely incredible job on the mound and at the plate. As going 14-14 in the AAA as you're moving up a league is no easy feat. And I know he's anxious to get hiking into these AAA playoffs, as he's certainly an upset potential against both Milkman and Seaman.
Yeah, he has a tough bracket ahead of him. As you said, he's got the Milkmen and Seamen and the Swashbucklers in that number 1 seed side of the bracket, 8v9 seed side of the bracket. So it's a tough road, tough hike, as one might say, but he's been through rougher before. He's got a title under his belt, and if anybody can do it coming out of the AA this season, I think it's going to be the Hikers. So going into the playoffs, he has huge upset potential. We are going to be looking to him to get it done.
Absolutely. And stuff happens update. It was previously reported that the Blues, Harambinos, and Flashertons were the only remaining teams in either league without a fielding error. The Super Mega RNG Monster is now happy to announce there are no teams free of errors across the league. By comparison, 4 teams finished Season 10 with 0 errors. The Monster has been satisfied.
Satisfied indeed. He's got us back for Season 10, where our defensive teams of the year, or whatever we wanted to style them as, were able to get away with none of those errors that counted. Sometimes you get the blong, as one might say, where it counts as a hit or whatever, but doesn't count as an error. But this season, everybody's gotten bit by the bug, and the gods are satisfied, and we can move along into the playoffs, hoping that maybe that will appease them, and nothing bad will happen in the real games that matter a whole lot. That's always what we got our fingers crossed for.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a lot of plays where there's quote-unquote routine diving plays that guys should make, but they'll drop them and they'll be counted as hits. So those are kind of hidden errors in the stat book. But you love to see the equality there, as everybody was bitten by the RNG snake, the monster, as Wishbone calls it. So, not playing any favorites this season. And we thank Wishbone, as always, for the great stats, as always.
Yeah, great job by Wishbone highlighting all these stats this season. It's been a great addition to the weekly roundup, and we'll have a whole bunch to go over next week as we do our awards and our XBL bracket and more. We're going to have our not top plays of the year, our plays of the year, all the good stuff next week, where I'm sure we're all going to work hard to go just above and beyond to make it that much better and exciting here to end season 11 for the roundup. But for this week, as we already said a couple times, thank you, Wishbone. Great job on these stat outlines. And we're going to move on now into our plays of the week. All these plays in consideration for plays of the year coming up. And for number 5, it's another play from GTM, who led us last week with 2 plays at number 1. He robs a home run here in a tight game, winning by 4 runs against Finite and his Sherwood Yeoman. See it here on slow-mo.
Yeah, and we see Mendoza here on the top 5 plays again, Dwayne, with 2 last week by his just incredible plays in center field. But it's also, I wanted to note that Finite really played GTM tough in this series. And I mentioned earlier, he's building some momentum as he chases down that 12 seed. And, with the heartbreaking end of last season's XBL, I'd love to see Finite sneak in there. But GTM really getting it done on the defensive side, and as he looks to try to get one of those top 4 seeds.
Yeah, he gets it done per usual. He's got one of the higher defense teams, I believe, in the league at 4 bars. Correct me if I'm wrong. So it's paying off here late in the season, helping him get those wins. We'll move on to our number 4 play of the week. This one coming from No Name. It's also an El Viejo. This one hit hard also off the bat of Finite Provision. This time Finite in the lead, and No Name having a range to his right here, just getting this catch on the run. Good submission from No Name. He ended up losing the game, but it's always good when you can take away extra bases.
Yeah, incredible play by Billy the Kid here. And sneak peek, we have 3 of our 5 top plays this week coming in El Viejo, weirdly enough. But a great play here by Billy the Kid as we show No Name some love on the top 5 plays this week.
Yeah, good play from No Name. Thanks again for the submission. And we'll move on now to our number 3. And this one comes from a game that was played late on Sunday between Flash and Cardiac, a classic matchup. Season 1 OGs going at it. Flash here hitting a grand slam with his pitcher. You get a little slow-mo taste of the action. Cardiac gives it a jump, but he knows it's gone. It goes right there into the first row. Huge homer there for Flash. Like we said, he's having a huge season. Big improvement from season 10.
Yeah, it's a bit of an oxymoron there with the Flash doing it in slow motion. As Barry Allen, you see those hitting bars just mind-boggling. He's locked in at the plate, assuming he was locked in from, throwing a shutout through 2 innings, but he comes up with a huge grand slam here, as you don't see that often by a pitcher, and he was probably moved into on fire mojo after this one. But hats off to Flash, as we said, getting it done.
Yeah, big homer there to, put a stamp on that series and keep the bats hot in this late season. We move to our number 2 play. This one the other night from the last game where Seaman was able to clinch his undefeated record, but this was way early in the game when the game was still tied. Tezzy took him to extra innings trying to get that W, just couldn't quite get it done. This play helping a ton from Smokey from Friday, making a dive to his left out there in left center field.
Smokey's lighting one up out there in left. He had to take the blunt out of his mouth to make that catch, but incredible play there by the heavy hitters. And, this was a big play as, like you said, this game went into extra innings. And as you guys saw earlier, heavy hitters, my pick to win the AAA World Series this season. Possible sneak peek of the World Series right there. And number 1 play this week, Dwayne, honestly, you hate to see it, but I don't know if we could have voted it any other way. Chance Lauderberry of the Mallards absolutely getting it done this week against 2 of the top players in the world.
Yeah, he gets right here first a big home run off the light pole to walk off against the Rhode Island Anchors. Let's watch it one more time here from Luke. You can see the relief pitcher just absolutely drained, and Chance teased that one up. Huge homer to walk off 452 feet. And then the next one, this one doesn't leave the park, but it's against Ashnod's Coupon with the bases juiced, down 2 runs. He smashes one into the gap, and that's going to clear him to win the game for Luke. This is how you lock in number 1 plays of the week, getting it done like this in clutch situations.
Yeah, the king of cringe is back, and you just got to tip your cap when it comes to, top plays and big moments, because he certainly had his A game going against Corruptions and Ashnod last week as he sweeps both and, getting it done in incredible fashion at Colonial, as a place Luke loves to play in and loves to beat people in.
Yeah, he does a great job getting it done in his home field. That's how you got to play when you're at home, clutch, comfortable, and you just got to lock in those wins, have a good home record, and when you're playing against the
Sickening.
top like that, it feels like you can beat anybody. Would you say it's sickening?
Sickening. He put up like what was it, six runs in the ninth inning? Like, are you kidding me, Dwayne?
Yeah, it's an epic comeback, and then the next game, I believe he won 13-3. So really getting it done against the widely considered the best hitter in the world as in Ashnow's Coupon. All right,
Yeah,
well,
thanks for those top place submissions, guys. Those were some great plays this week, and you love to see them.
yeah, great submissions from everybody. Thank you all for submitting your plays, and keep it up for next week. All those plays that you submit next week will also be in consideration for plays of the year for the yearly roundup. So we'll get that for you guys put together. Like I said, a couple extra special things to go through and extra content to add in there to make that roundup really super cool next week. So good roundup tonight, Ox. It was a lot of fun to go through this with you once again. And before we go tonight, is there any shout outs, anything you want to add, any PSAs?
Oh, I think I gave all the hot takes I could give tonight, and like I said, hats off. Tip your cap to all the guys I did tip my cap to. There it is on screen for you. But glad you guys got to sneak peek the playoff stash tonight, and good luck to all of you as we begin the AAA playoffs and finish out the XBL regular season.
Yeah, good luck to everybody in the AAA playoffs this week. Get those games in, get those series rolling, because we'll be back on this channel with the semifinals and the World Series for the AAA and the XBL as well. When that gets rolling, everybody in the XBL finish your regular season games this week. Get those seedings locked in, get those matchups locked in, because playoff baseball, you know how exciting it gets. All the streams are going to be fun. Everybody's going to have a great time, and I think we have one of the better playoff tournaments on our hand for both leagues for the way it shakes up right now. So there's a lot to be excited about in this final week. And I thank you once again, Ox, for joining us. I thank everybody for participating, submitting their plays, and making this all happen as usual. And we'll see you next time. We'll keep your eyes peeled for announcements for Match of the Week. Keep your eyes peeled for the awards show. And everybody just have a safe and pleasant evening. Take it easy.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys, and thanks for having me, Dwayne.
As always.